Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to a very special edition of PWR Today. I'm Matthew Thomas, joined alongside Linda Kay. Linda, did you like how I threw another special in there this morning?
Yes, I love it, because it is always special when we do a show together, because we normally don't. So this is tremendous.
And I think this is our actual first breakdown of AEW Dynamite. We cover NXT, but normally our paths do not cross on Thursday morning to talk about all the wonderful stuff. And I think it's consistently fairly wonderful, but all the wonderfulness that was AEW Dynamite last night. But first, if you're going to an AEW event or a WWE event or an NXT event, or especially if you're going to an OVW or GLCW event, and you want to be dressed to the nine, what do I wear? What do I wear to said event? What do we do to help those people out, Linda?
Well, even when going to an Impact show,
Ooh.
Make sure to sport your comfortable, fashionable collar and elbow t-shirts or tank tops. See what's available, the latest and greatest in wrestling street fashions at collarandelbowbrand.com. And to save a little cash, to save 10% off your order, you can use promo code LindaK, that's LINDAKAY, to save some money, to get some more collar and elbow t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies.
Well, let's say, for example, this person gets fully equipped with their collar and elbow clothing, and they're looking for something to do, a wrestling show to go to this weekend. Do you have any advice for them, Linda?
Yes, for those in the Milwaukee area, or if you want to drive a little bit to southeastern Wisconsin, we are having some snow in Wisconsin. And no, I don't mean snow from the sky. I'm talking about Al Snow, Uncle Al, as we like to call him here from PWR. Al Snow will be in the house because we have some meet and greets and a big GLCW show Sunday. First, I'll start off for this Friday night, a meet and greet with Al Snow at Happy at Collectibles, Southridge Mall, Greendale, Wisconsin, from 5 to 7 p.m. We also have a special appearance at a grand reopening at a gym called Flex Fitness in Racine, Wisconsin. You can go there from noon to 2. You can meet Al Snow, the Fanny Pack Kid Cal Hero, yours truly for a meet and greet, as well as GLCW Tag Team Champions The Express and GLCW star Jordan Cross. So we have that on Friday, Saturday, and then to culminate the wonderful weekend on Sunday, this Sunday, June 12th, we return for Brats, Beers, and Body Slams 2, that is, at Thiensville Village Park for the annual Thiensville Lions Fest. It's in the Mequon, Thiensville, Wisconsin area, where we will have Al Snow teaming up with local CBS 58 affiliate Mike Kirchhoff, Iron Mike Kirchhoff, who you may have seen at Blizzard Brawl. I know you did, Matthew, because you were there live at Blizzard Brawl. So they will be teaming against the current GLCW tag team champions, The Express. We'll have former senior intern Cal Hero in the house, or under the tent. I shouldn't say in the house, it's outdoors, but under the tent.
I like under the tent better.
Okay, under the tent, and other stars from OVW, from GLCW, from other promotions nearby, as well as, once again, yours truly on the mic, holding it down. And while we have some ringside and second row seats available, this is also a free show, Matthew. If you want free general admission tickets, you can reserve those tickets at blizzardbrawl.com. Just so you know.
Goodness. That's a weekend full. And although I do want to throw out a little bit of safety precaution, like I heard body slams and brats, I would imagine that you want to make sure that the brat is fully chewed and digested before you get body slammed. If not, it's going to be like that Field of Dreams scene with the little girl, and you're going to have to get Doc Graham cannot play baseball any longer because he's going to have to step across the line and be old man Doc Graham and do the Heimlich maneuver on you. Just a fair warning for anybody thinking about.
Well, I mean, there's
ask you, one of those events, apparently at the collectibles place, do you think you can get your hands on any 2021 AEW Upper Deck cards for me?
I'm sure he could. There's lots of great stuff at Happy Eight Collectibles. They are usually on site at all of our GLCW events. So if you don't see them live on site at any of the GLCW shows, you can stop in at Southbridge Mall this Friday and meet Al Snow as well.
And also, too, while you're talking to them, could you check and see if they have any use for a life-size Harley Quinn doll?
I could. What?
Yeah. No, I've got a piece of my collection that I might be
You
willing to part with if the price is
do.
right. Yeah. So I'm not saying it's fully on the market, and I'm not saying that any listeners should contact me if they're interested in it. But if the price is right, I might be willing to negotiate.
Okay. See what I can do for you.
Well, thank you very much. A very exciting and productive weekend. It sounds like there in the Wisconsin area, and I mean honestly, like anything's drivable. Like if you're in the United States, anything's drivable from anywhere. So if this is the weekend you want to make a cross country trip, you go back. We've got like hundreds upon hundreds of episodes of PWR Today. Like, wouldn't that be just a great pilgrimage? Say you start out in like the southernmost tip of Florida and just decide you're going to cruise up that way this weekend. You could just set your PWR, whether it be Spotify or iTunes or Stitcher or whatever you listen to your podcast on, and just like have a PWR marathon. Just drive a thing straight through if you want to. It'd be a great weekend. So anybody who's on the fence, I say go ahead and do it and see a free wrestling show, get you some brats, and just
some beer too. It's
and
brats,
some beer
and body slams.
Oh my goodness! Like, how can you go wrong with that? Something that NXT is hoping they didn't go wrong with is we talked about it yesterday. We covered the return of Apollo Crews back to NXT, and we had talked about, okay, is this going to be a long Apollo Crews run? Is he down there for basically a cup of coffee? But they did announce yesterday rather, the NXT roster page now features Apollo Crews, and he apparently is exclusively on the NXT roster. So, Linda, at least for the time being, the question that we posed yesterday has been answered. I mean, it was probably WWE brass that was listening and said, hey, inquiring minds want to know. So let's not make people wait any longer. Apollo Crews, the newest NXT roster member, Linda.
That is tremendous to hear. I mean, we assumed we gave that hypothesis. Is that the right word? Yep. That may be the case, and I'm glad, just because we saw the joy on Apollo Crews' face and how receptive he was to that NXT audience last night. 2 nights ago. So I'm happy to hear that he'll be there for a while, and it was already put forth that he said it to Braun Breaker face to face that he expects to go for that NXT title at some point. So good to hear.
Absolutely. And Apollo Crews back on the NXT brand. Now for some main roster WWE news. There was a story yesterday. It's being reported that apparently the incarnation that we have previously seen and are also seeing now of Judgment Day was not the original plan. Reports are that Judgment Day was initially supposed to have much more of a supernatural vibe. The incarnation of Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley, they were supposed to be kind of a supernatural stable. Now, my question to you, Linda, is WWE, their most well-known supernatural superstar, retired last year, and they pretty much knocked it out of the park. I mean, you're gonna have a hard time ever having another supernatural element to a character that's ever gonna surpass the Undertaker. Most likely, never gonna be done. We did a very solid job with Bray Wyatt, but my question to you, Linda, I really like what we have with Judgment Day. I think they've got a good look. They've got a good vibe. It's a darker stable, but we're not throwing elements of the supernatural in there. Linda, your thoughts on this? And would you have preferred your Judgment Day with a little bit more of a supernatural twist?
No, I think they are perfect as is. I do like something with a darker edge, no pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't really any superstar or tag team or stable that really stuck out to something that was, I'm going to say it again, dark and edgy, like how Judgment Day is. I'm glad that it didn't go that supernatural route, if that was the case. Just because there's, there are already comparisons made to, Judgment Day, we got House of Black. Whereas House of Black does have a little, slight supernatural in how they can just appear and disappear, in the darkness. So I'm glad that Judgment Day, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I will say I will miss the in-ring promos because Edge was so good and so hilarious at what he would say in every time, and just like him just spewing it out and just being like, "Oh yeah, not without saying it's true. Oh, it's true, like Hurt Angle, but it was true. Some extent what he was saying in the city, so it just made it funny. He had a, straight face, just saying such great things. I know you and me had talked about it. Hopefully, you guys were just deciding, is it Finn Balor who's the new leader? Is it Damian Priest? I was thinking it was going to be Finn Balor, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know you guys said whoever is the new leader of Judgment Day has to be a great talker. So we'll see how well they do without having Edge as the leader.
And maybe we, jump the gun, and maybe there really doesn't have to be an Edge style leader. I'm perfectly fine if they split the mic work, and that might actually be, the best thing to do at this juncture, because, everybody in the group, nobody has the mic presence of Edge. I mean, he's been doing it for 30 years, that's his. Nobody is going to be able to quite fill those shoes. And I think probably the best thing at this juncture, you don't really have anybody trying to fill those shoes. I do want to add one thing, though, going back to the original Parent Supernatural idea. I don't think it would have been bad for Damian Priest or Rhea Ripley, because they are still relatively unknown characters. I think going Edge that we had with the comeback, we had a little bit of that of Edge with the Brood that kind of had its own mysterious element to it, but I think it would have been a step back for 2020, 2021, and 2022 Edge. It would have seemed odd. It would have seemed kind of like a random gimmick in his place. And, I think some people would have had a hard time buying it. It's like, all right, Edge, Hall of Fame career, main event of WrestleMania last year, and now he acquired powers. How did Edge, were these powers always there? Were they dormant? Or did he just decide to go out and acquire powers at this point in his career? So I think it would have been much more believable, and people wouldn't necessarily have had a problem with it if it was a, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, or even Finn Balor thrown in there. Because remember, he's got a little demon side that comes out occasionally. So I think it would have even worked with this incarnation, but I think where you would have had the pushback, would have been with Edge. So we'll see if they keep going the same direction they're going. If anybody in this new state, anybody in this new incarnation gets powers, or and we'll keep monitoring to see if there is a leader. But let's get to the main action from last night, a chock full AEW Dynamite. Both companies going through some major changes these last week with the injury of CM Punk, the injury of Cody Rhodes. The difference between the companies is this actually affected AEW's title picture, with your champion CM Punk having to take time out. The announcement of a new interim AEW title that's coming up soon. The show would kick off with a casino battle royal to determine who was going to face Jon Moxley at the end of the show. Now, casino battle royals are what AEW, that's when they have a battle royal, it's going to be a casino battle royal. I initially thought it was kind of a gimmick for when they were in Vegas, but the last 3 years as precedent, this is the way they do it. And it's a combination of a traditional battle royal and more of a Royal Rumble style battle royal. Now, if you were to do a traditional Rumble style battle royal, it's going to take up half of your show, if not the whole show, with entrances and this, that, and the other. But, to me, the first few times I saw it, it was a little bit too convoluted to my taste. But as time has gone on, it's a way of getting a little bit of suspense in there with having people come in 5 at a time so you speed things up. So we had the different suits enter 5 at a time. But the news coming out of this is it would come down to Kyle O'Reilly and Wheeler Yuta. And the question was, were we going to get Wheeler Yuta and Jon Moxley again, or were we going to get a little bit of a new matchup with Kyle O'Reilly? And it was Kyle O'Reilly victorious in the Battle Royal to open the show.
Yeah. I mean, kicking off a Dynamite with a Casino Battle Royale. I mean, huge way. We knew it was coming, but it was just great to see it on Dynamite. We didn't have to, order the pay-per-view to see it. It was just there, and an important reason to see who would be facing Jon Moxley in the main event. But I definitely have become more accustomed with this format as well. I still like the element of the Joker. That was a nice big surprise. We saw those Andrade El Idolo, straight from his honeymoon, I think, something along those lines. But coming down to Kyle O'Reilly and Wheeler Yuta, I like that because fans were really behind Wheeler Yuta, but there were a lot of people behind Kyle O'Reilly as well. Yeah. And considering we recently had a Moxley Yuta fight where Yuta was then brought into the Blackpool Combat Club, I didn't think that was going to happen. I think we're just going to keep making the Blackpool Combat Club even stronger. So I had a hunch that it was going to be Kyle O'Reilly getting the victory. So we know we were going to get a good match as well between Kyle O'Reilly and Jon Moxley to close out the show as well.
Absolutely. And a fresh matchup. So, and I like seeing Kyle O'Reilly get featured in a prominent role. I think he is absolutely a talent. And I feel like he kind of fell by the wayside a little bit towards the end of his NXT run. So seeing him featured as a star in AEW, I think is a good thing. With all these stars in AEW, there's going to have to be some titles to go around. And this was news to me. I had not heard of any reporting on this. When I saw the vignette, I thought this was probably an announcement for the trios titles.
Yeah.
Not the case. AEW announcing an All Atlantic Championship. Champion will be crowned at Forbidden Door. Now, what I gathered from this, when we looked at the bracket, you had the competitors and their country of origin. I am kind of interpreting this, Linda, as AEW's take on the Intercontinental title. Linda, your thoughts on the announcement of the All Atlantic Championship and the tournament that's going to transpire?
Yeah, that was news to me as well. I really didn't think about it being something similar to an Intercontinental title, but now that you've said it, mentioning that there's representation from several different countries in this initial tournament for the title, makes sense. Great comparison there, Matthew. But no, excited to hear that. And it's also, we've seen a lot of new titles kind of being announced on AEW. If you're not as familiar with Ring of Honor or even some of the New Japan, I don't know if they have some titles throwing, getting in the mix as well, but this is one that's an AEW title that is going to be introduced with lots of representation, featuring other stars that may not really get as much in-ring time on Dynamite or Rampage. So that's great.
Little note here. I like the fact that they feature the countries, and I hope they continue to do this. I know it's going to get harder over time to necessarily have people from various countries fighting for this, but that's one thing that's always annoyed me a little bit about the WWE Intercontinental title. It's like, it's kind of just the name. There's nothing in the title where this can only be defended overseas, or like there's really nothing intercontinental about it. So I like the fact that they are kind of taking a little bit more of an international take on it. Well, they wasted no time in getting to the first matchup in the tournament. Buddy Matthews versus Pac, a match that a lot of people have been clamoring for. We would see Pac go over. And my take on this initially, I'm watching this match, and as it stands right now, whoever won this match, I want to win the tournament. I think both of these guys are immensely talented and, definitely deserve to be a title holder. Pac with the win in a great match.
Yes, great way to kick off this tournament. The bastard. Sorry, I always pop for that. Yeah, I like where we're going with this. Just adds another element. I know we just finished the Owen Hart tournament, but now we have another
Yeah,
one. But this one, granted, there are, dare I say, belts for the Owen Hart Foundation, or the tournament that we have,
sure.
but this being a new introduced championship, I like it, and I want to see things continue growing with it. And again, it being an AEW championship, that's new in the mix, it's tremendous.
Absolutely. Our next segment would actually feature Trent, or should I say Trent? Because technically he's still got the question mark after the name. So I think we have to pronounce it Trent, or Trent, I mean. But anyway, he would come down, and this would ultimately bring out FTR. Now, what this segment was meant to do, Mita and I talked about last week, you're building towards a Forbidden Door pay-per-view where you're going to have to introduce some talent that a bulk of your audience may not necessarily be familiar with. And how are they going to do it? How are they going to do it within the context of their programming and not make it seem a little bit awkward, because you are building towards a pay-per-view with people you are having to introduce? What would eventually happen here, FTR and Trent would be attacked by Will Ospreay and United Empire. So Ospreay and United Empire's entrance into AEW to foreseeably set up a match for Forbidden Door.
I think this was a good way to introduce that faction to an AEW crowd that may not be familiar with some of the New Japan talent. To be honest with you, they're fairly new to me watching it as well. But I mean, obviously they were put in a strong position. I mean, you're putting them against the most over tag team right now with AEW with FTR, and then Trent having his ties to New Japan as well and his history with that. So the fans are already familiar with that. As you know, as you said, we are nearing the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. So I'm assuming that they are one of the stronger factions at New Japan is against one of the strongest tag teams here at AEW. I think it just kind of sets it up nicely to get something we want to look forward to come Forbidden Door.
Yeah, and what I liked about this is it wasn't the introduction of a non-AEW talent and the announcers having to put them over. We actually saw them attack somebody. We saw them in action. So it was much more of a show me as opposed to tell me, and I feel like that's what we got here. And I think this was more effective than some of the setups they've done thus far to Forbidden Door. Our next matchup would feature David Finlay versus Adam Page. Now, what I liked about David Finlay, Fit Finlay's son, his look is not very reminiscent of his father, but he's carrying the shillelagh with him. Nice little touch, a nice little throwback without making the whole gimmick a throwback. I really like that. Linda, last night was a major step because everybody's got the first event they went to after the lockdowns. They've got the first game or concert or whatever, but I don't think we had seen this since probably March of 2000. I'm sorry, 2020. My goodness, I got my years mixed up.
Think of like high school graduation. What? No.
Yeah.
I'm not that old.
Since March of 2020, when Hangman issued the official statement that due to the pandemic, he would no longer be drinking from random people's cups. Last night, Linda, Hangman back in action against David Finlay. Yeah, he defeats David Finlay. But to me, much more importantly, Hangman drinking a beer from a ringside participant's cup.
Well, I mean, if there's anything to take out of Dynamite last night, it is that.
Absolutely.
I think I didn't even think about that, Matthew. Mm-hmm. Maybe just because at least in Wisconsin, I mean, events worldwide are pretty much back to normal, back to capacity. But I know in Wisconsin things were opened up, I think, a little sooner than maybe some other states. I'm not sure, so that doesn't even faze me so much. The thinking that he drank out of a cup that it was COVID that made him stop doing that. You know what I mean? Interesting.
Exactly. So no, I think that's definitely a major a major step forward for everyone. So glad to see things back to normal in.
So wait, sorry. So when Dynamite is here in Milwaukee on June 22nd, if me and Meathead find our way to ringside, you're telling me Hangman Adam Page might drink beer, Meathead's beer.
Absolutely. So this was such an integral part of Hangman's gimmick. So I saw the next to last Dynamite prior to them, going to Daly's place, and it was such a vital part of Hangman's gimmick at the time. He was leaving with like 5 or 6 cups of random drinks. I mean, it was wonderful. Several different types of beer, several different types of mixed drinks. I mean, he had like 2 drinks in each hand, and I think he was holding like 1 or 2 between his teeth. Like, that was such an integral part of his gimmick. And so we haven't seen it in quite a while. So yes, I think that is definitely something you should aspire to. Maybe even worth taking a sign that says, Hangman, drink from my cup, or something like that. You guys can work on it and decide who has the best penmanship between you two. So, now this was not just about Hangman drinking random drinks. This did result in him challenging Okada for the IWGP Championship at Forbidden Door, which I think is a match a lot of people are potentially interested in. Now, Adam Cole was at ringside, so this did bring up Adam Cole, so we might have a little bit of a detour in Adam Cole versus Adam Page prior to that or after that. Who knows? But I don't think too many people are going to shy away from that matchup. We would also get Wardlow making an appearance, saying that he wants to go after the TNT title. So now that Wardlow is an official member of the roster, we'll see if a title match is in his future. There was a title match in the future of all the viewers last night, though. Marina Shafir going up against Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's title. And I got to say, Linda, this might be my favorite Thunder Rosa match so far in her title reign. I thought this was really, really solid. Yeah, I thought this was great. I mean, the pay-per-view match was outstanding, but this, at least for a free TV or a Dynamite match, I was really impressed with the way these two work together.
Yeah, I mean, we know what Marina Shafir's background is, so seeing that element in with Thunder Rosa's tremendous wrestling, being trained by Dustin Rhodes, it was a really great match. I guess I went in thinking that Thunder Rosa was not going to drop the title just because Marina Shafir hasn't really, I know she's had more matches outside of Dynamite or Rampage, but I feel that if they are going to meet up again, and if it's because this match was so good, let's give it some time. Let's give Shafir a little bit more TV time, and we can see where this can go in the future.
Yeah, here's what we got. We got Shafir continuing to attack Thunder Rosa after the match. Toni Storm would come to the rescue. So I think there's a couple different ways we could go here. I'm really interested in Toni Storm and Shafir, but Toni Storm also making it clear that she's got a claim to that championship. So I think, some potential good programs to go here, and another chance for AEW to further highlight that women's division. Our main event set up by the Casino Battle Royal to start the show, Jon Moxley going up against Kyle O'Reilly. Thought it was a solid match. I like the fact that this was one of the rare Jon Moxley matches we've seen as of late that did not turn into a hardcore match or a bloodbath. I personally think we need to see more of that from Moxley, especially if he's going to get in the title, the title run now. I think that we're talking about a potential second Jon Moxley title reign, and I think that, if that's the route we're going, we got to talk about some more kind of traditional wrestling matches as opposed to the hardcore style he's been working as of late. But Jon Moxley getting the win in an excellent match.
Yeah, putting him with Kyle O'Reilly, seeing them using submissions on one another, and I'm a huge fan of Kyle O'Reilly ever since I first saw him in person when Ring of Honor would come to Milwaukee, and that was my introduction to him. And him with Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and just those guys. So it's awesome still seeing them together all these years later. But I digress. I will say that is a great point. We didn't see any color last night during Moxley's match. We just got a great competitive match between him and Kyle O'Reilly to try to keep that number one contender spot. So while I feel Kyle O'Reilly could get something in the future in the title run at AEW, I see it further along. Yeah. Figure to be Moxley with the win, and we'll get him at Forbidden Door, which is what.
Yeah, and Moxley awaits the winner of the number one contender match at the New Japan pay-per-view coming up. So still not set in stone who he's going to face, but I mean, really, what this has done and what Punk's injury has done, it's turned Forbidden Door, I think, into a must-see, because there might have been some fans that were on the fence, that felt this was more of a novelty or specialty pay-per-view. You're going to have a new interim AEW champion at Forbidden Door, so I think that potentially, has turned this into a must-see for anyone who's an AEW fan. Well, you will have a must-listen coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow, for the first time since his hiatus, the man they call Meathead joins the program again, Linda. It'll probably be early part of next week before the PWR listeners are hearing from you once again?
I thought it was me and Meathead tomorrow. I know you guys covered for me.
Interesting. That's right.
Weekend.
That's right. So you will, I think the common factor is you'll hear from Meathead. We're not necessarily sure who else you'll hear from, or maybe we're giving the people what they want. Maybe they're finally getting that Meathead one-man show.
Yeah, I know he's been wanting to talk about the music and the entrances for pro wrestling. So maybe it might just be the one-man band tomorrow.
It very well could be very reminiscent of Heath Slater, or like maybe it's the Meathead monologue. Maybe just 20 to 30 straight minutes straight of Meathead. I mean, I think there's definitely a market for that. But for this morning, we are out of time until somebody talks to you tomorrow morning. This is Matthew Thomas for Linda Kay signing off. We'll talk to you soon.